Hey guys, AirsoftAL here, and this one's going to be more of a serious video, I guess you could say. This one I am talking about something that I know has been thrown around a lot as an insult to people who don't exactly understand it or know what it's actually like to be autistic. Now, what I have is Asperger's, what some would consider to be a learning disability, including my mother. For me, it's a little bit different, and something I'd like to actually share with you guys so you can actually understand why I am the way I am, and sort of how I tick, what it's like to be with basically what it's like to have autism, or at least my level of autism. I am high functioning autistic. For me, I am. That's a little weird, so let's just go ahead and start with the beginning. When I was in school, I didn't like the loud noises. I didn't like how everything was all this stuff, and I never really do catch on to subtle things. I've got very bad social cues, so if you're upset, or you're starting to get upset, or you're starting to get annoyed with me, and you don't sound like it, or you don't physically show it, unless you tell me you're being annoyed, I won't understand it. So that's one of the many things when it comes to social cues that I got none of. I have no filter, and literally everything I say is from the heart and from my own experiences. So when I say something, I mean it. So in a sense, I never lie. That's this kind of thing. I never lie about what I'm feeling, what I'm saying, or anything of that nature. I'm usually telling the truth 100% of the time. And whether you want to believe it or not, that's completely up to you and your prerogative and your, in a sense, agenda. Another aspect about me is that I research things way too deeply. And I do sometimes connect the dots where others won't accept it, which it's weird actually. But yeah, I really do research things way too deeply, and I take stuff way too seriously sometimes. Um, that's just how it is. Now, one thing I really would like to share is an experience I actually had a couple days ago when I was at Titan Stadium. Now, I was in Nashville, yes, to play Airsoft, and yes, I will talk about how Airsoft and I kind of get along. I was at Nashville at Titan Stadium, and something I thought I could handle did not, because the way I am with large crowds is I literally can hear everything. And what I mean by that, I mean I literally hear everything. You can try and tell me to ignore it or something like that, but I can't unless I have, something blaring in my ears, like Sabaton or just music in general. Doesn't really matter. Doesn't matter. It could be white noise for all I care. As long as I don't hear anyone else, then I'm okay. But a couple days ago, I had sensory overload. And what happens to me with sensory overload is it's a little different with anyone with autism or Asperger's in general. Their different sensory overloads can be different. For me, I lose all sense of emotional control. Um, I literally start crying. I start have this sort of urge to run away. I have this urge to get out of anywhere I am where sensory overload's happening. Now, this is the same concept with emotions, because literally my emotional balance is kind of not even there. So, on top of the no filter, when I like something, I will literally show the emotion if I like it, or if I hate something, I show the emotion that I hate it. If I'm sad, I actually will start crying on the spot, or it depends on how much sadness I have in me at the time. Uh, but at that point in the stadium, my instincts, or at least the way I was feeling when I was sensory overloaded, was I wanted to run away and fight, but I couldn't fight and I couldn't run away. So in a sense, I was feeling like I was literally surrounded in enemy territory. I had no friendlies around me. It was literally just, it's the worst feeling you can ever get, in a sense. Until I found a nice quiet place away from the crowds and kind of calmed myself down, listening to Elvis, Tennessee Ernest, or basically 16 Tons and Whistle Dixie, Sabaton, literally all sorts of music that I like that helped me calm myself down. And out of all that, I really just did not find it enjoyable. Yeah, the concert that they had there was fun. The fireworks were nice, but everything else about it I just did not like. I found it boring. Now, I know what you're saying. Now, I know a lot of keen people are going to say. You're saying, okay, if you can't handle crowds, then why are you in Airsoft? Airsoft is like the exact opposite of what someone like you should be doing. And that's something that actually helps me with big crowds, is if I can distract myself and focus on one thing, then I can handle it. Like, with the crowds, the reason I got sensory overloaded was I heard everything. I heard everyone talking. I had so many voices in my head. I just couldn't handle it. I couldn't handle all the voices. Now, in Airsoft, like I said, essentially what I'm doing is I am pinpointing myself in that one thing. And with Airsoft, it's literally, I have an objective, I know what I'm doing there, and I'm going to go have fun with that. It's literally something that is distracting me from the crowds of people and there being more than just myself there. I am literally having fun. And it's literally how it goes. Now, another aspect of me that's something I think a lot of people kind of understand is I love mechanics. I love learning how things work, how things tick, which is why I love Forgotten Weapons, or See an Arsenal, or a lot of these takedown guides, especially my own takedown guides, is because I love to understand how things work, especially at a young age when Zoids was a thing, or I think that's still a thing. I don't know if Zoids is still around, but for those of you who remember Zoids, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I had a lot of the Zoid models, and I would take them apart, put them back together, take them apart, put them back together. I was fascinated with how these things worked, and I wanted to know how they worked. Video games, especially, is something that kind of helped just blow my imagination and just blew my mind. I was blown away at how video games were and how technical of a marvel they are. And that's really how it is. So, a lot of times, it's just the way it is. Now, in saying that, it's a little bit more difficult to talk about how I am, among other things, but the best way to describe it is I am someone who is earnest about what he says and what he talks about, because, again, I have no filter, like none, so that's how it is. I've got horrible social cues. I'm horrible social. I've got to introduce myself to everyone. I'm one of those guys that will come up and talk to you even though you don't know me. I love to make friends with you because in high school, being autistic, I had literally no social interaction outside. And even in school, I hated it because I was surrounded by not just libtards, but also people I did not like. I hated the place. I did not want to be there. It wasn't until college when I actually started opening up and started making friends, started actually working towards socializing. And even now, I rarely socialize because nowadays there are very few people I can actually fully trust. And even then, my own social interaction outside of my own home is mostly with my friends, Rob and Joey, or even a few others. I literally have a small nitpick group of friends outside of YouTube that I actually go and actually hang out with, and even then, that's very few and far between. And the only real social interaction, quote-unquote, is got to be online and through gaming. But even then, I'm still a little bit awkward and sort of bad social cues, bad social interaction. And even then, it's kind of weird with the whole online thing as a whole, because for me, and this is something I think a lot of people can kind of get behind, is whenever I see hate comments or something like that, I usually try to deconstruct them. Because in my mind, I'm not seeing a hate comment, I'm seeing binary code. I am seeing a jumble of ones and zeros. I literally don't get affected by hate comments, and it doesn't really affect me, which is why most of the time I'll just delete them and just move on with my merry day. Or Tony will even delete them, which even then I think he's sort of the same way. I'm not sure. And that's just sort of how it is, in a sense. Anyway. But yeah, that's just me rambling. That's just how it is. But in all seriousness, though, it does get a little bit more serious because a lot of you guys actually do. How do I put this? A lot of you actually do talk about me wanting a car. When I started talking about the bike and everything like that, a lot of you guys actually started saying, "Oh, you need a car, you need to get a truck, you need to do this, you need to do that." Well, I would if my life wasn't so complicated. What I mean by being complicated is that I am autistic, and because of that, at a young age, I was told I could never get a job, I could never do anything, and I was essentially said I'd be on disability all of my life. So I'm on disability. And that's just how it is. And even then, I don't see any of the money because the majority of the money goes to my, well, guardian, which is my mother. I don't see a cent of that money. I have no fucking clue where that money's going, and that's just how it is. And then even then, a lot of you, even my friend from Clayton's crew over there at the Terran something or another. I can't fully remember their name off the top of my head, but even then, let me think here. He was talking about getting a credit card, and I actually do have a card. It's a Regions bank card with a Regions account, but there's nothing in that account to my knowledge, or at least that's what I've been told. So I have no credit card. I've got no credit score to my knowledge, ish. And even then, that's just how it is. Which then I know a lot of you are saying, okay, well, where do you keep getting the money? Tony is the one who buys all the stuff. He's the one with the money. I've literally got no cent to my name. And even then, it's a little more complicated because my last name on the Social Security and insurance forms have to be changed in order for me to actually get a vehicle. Which even then, that vehicle won't be under my name. It'll be under my mother's name because she's the one buying it. She's the one with the money. So in a sense, even if I do get a vehicle, guys, I have no say in what I can do with it. I have no say in how far I can drive it. My mother would completely control it. So that is literally my whole life story, in a sense, of that's what it's like for me right now. Either way, though. Thank you all for watching. As always, I've been AirsoftAL. I hope this kind of helped you understand my life situation and sort of what it's like for me and having autism. And that's kind of how it goes. Anyway, thank you all for watching. As always, I've been AirsoftAL, and I'll see all you lovely people in the next video. Till next time.